complain. I did a street stall 6 weeks ago in Wimbledon Park, and some lady from Cecil Road came to specifically complain that she tried to persuade the local council that the bin sizes were simply too big for the front gardens, and so we've been trying to pursue that point. And I think the council have at long last recognised there's some room for discretion there, but not very much. And so actually it is interesting that, you know, as a member of Parliament, probably the two or three biggest issues at the moment in the constituency wide are bins, Brexit and Crossrail 2, and a really sort of quite a diverse mix. So basically I'm here this morning for you to raise any issues you want to raise with me, particularly about this area. I'm sure someone will want to raise air quality and the site of the proposed Harris School and the debacle that has been. Good morning. Broadly, I'm basically here to listen to what people want to say and try and answer questions as if people have them. So I'll throw the floor open. I'm here to about 11. And so, I mean, most MPs, I have a sort of a back-to-back Saturday. I'm seeing some people after this about a problem with a particular school in Wimbledon. Then we're holding a town centre meeting, and this afternoon there's a fair right at the other side of the constituency for the local friends of the local library. And that's a fairly typical Saturday, but it's the floor is yours, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who wants to raise an issue?
Are we going to get fined if we make mistakes by putting the wrong thing in the wrong bin? Because my wife just showed me a spreadsheet which she stuck on our cupboard drawer, and I was going, oh my God. And she goes, you've got to clean stuff and put it in this and this and this, and that comes on that week and that will come on this week, and already I'm thinking...
It's not difficult. I'm so sorry, but it's not difficult. You just need to read what they say.
I accept that I will get used to it.
You will get used to it.
But are we going to get heavily fined if we make an error?
Well, my understanding is no, they're not, because they recognise that, although as the lady said, we will all get used to it. When I was doing our normal recycling last night, my wife said to me, well, you're going to have to split all of that out later on. And I think people are going to have to get used to it.
Read it on.
Yeah,
it's very clear.
Well,
it's confusing.
I think that it's clear to some people. It's not clear to everybody, by the way. I have to say,
I think if you've got a family,
some of it's a bit tricky and complex.
There's so many issues within the house. You don't need some extra.
And I think that sort of the system has broadly everybody's used to the system. It works moderately well. It's pretty easy then to split the recycling. People will get used to it, there's no doubt about it, but I think for the first few weeks there's going to be a lot of problems. Yeah. My understanding is that there is no intention to fine people if they get it wrong.
What you risk is they may not collect it, so if you put the wrong thing in the wrong container, the wrong bin, what often happens, the council just doesn't bother collecting it, and then you've got a mess.
However, there are ways...
What do we do with our old bins? But they're big items.
You have to take them to the refuse centre if you don't want them.
Yeah.
Or how are you getting them there if you haven't got a car?
Well, the council's made no announcement about it. Nobody knows what to do with the old bins. The council keeps changing its mind.
As an old thing, just as you would.
The council haven't said that yet because they're not sure they want them all there, or whether they're going to make a collection. So I think you need to wait for it all.
Put that out. If they pick a day, and we know on that day they come and pick up our old bins, because they're big items. Now I've got 4 bins in my
I think
little bit of front garden.
I mean, I think that is probably what they may well consider doing, but they have not made no announcement. If you want to get rid of them before that, I suppose you can take them to the dump, but the reality is at the moment...
Where?
Garth Road's the official place, the waste processing centre there, so you can drop them there.
Lady here and then... No, it's a very good point. I mean, I think that the council have made no announcement yet, so they may well...
Yeah, I live on Hamilton Road in my flat, a ground floor flat, so that means I'll have 10 bins in my front, right? There's 2... She's got to have all hers upstairs and I'll have all mine downstairs. I'm just wondering how that's going to, it's just a small area, so it's just going to be a bin. Yeah.
Very tiny.
Yes, that's right.
Well, that is my point. A lot of people have made the point about...
And it doesn't only we have tried to check the council what they says have the big bin, and then in a year's time they were looking into smaller bin. What the question is, why not now? Because wasting so much money on a large bin, which is not useful.
So Nigel's right, so there are two questions that have been raised. One is that they are sort of saying that in a year's time they might look at giving people smaller bins. So on that basis, why didn't they do the survey beforehand?
Yeah.
And in some in some blocks of flats, they are accepting that bins aren't necessarily giving people bags, but that is not a widespread practice. So there again, there's some issues about that.
If they say, well, you can have a smaller bin because you have nowhere to put your bins, as in the case of the lady who's in a lot of the areas around Wimbledon have no front gardens or a very tiny front garden. But if you have a lot of rubbish and you want a smaller bin, I mean, it still comes down to how do you get rid of your rubbish? I mean, you're not solving the problem still, are you?
No, you're not. I mean, and this is the problem with a fortnightly collection. That some people are going to have.
How much money have they? Well, not. I'm assuming they're making a lot of savings here that they can use on other things.
Well,
they're still employing 20. They're employing every day of the month, like everyone else is working. Now they're only collecting every other. Where's the saving? You're still paying their wages.
Well, I think it's a very, very good question, and my understanding is they are about to announce that they have, when they let the contract, Veolia bid the wrong price, and that Veolia are now going to ask for more money than they've asked already. So you may well find that this system, far from ending up saving us money, will cost us money. I can't be absolutely sure on that because I haven't seen the details of the contract, but I do know that they intend to come back and ask for more money. So the question will be, where are the savings? There's a huge amount of capital investment in the bins. Secondly, there are some real issues about, as the lady over here raises, if not everything is collected every week and people can't store them in their houses, where they're going to store them, they're going to store them outside, so that could be potentially bad use of the state of the streets. So, I think there are still some pretty pertinent issues.
So they basically won the contract on a false quote.
Well,
and now they've got the contract because it's on a small quote. I could run a business like that and then go, more than I thought, can I have some more money? You're the council.
Yeah, and I think that is highly likely that what we're going to see happen, and I think there will be some really major questions being asked about that actually happen. Right, I'm going to take the gentleman here and then the lady there. Sorry. And then we'll come back.
I think the most fundamental question that none of you seem to want to ask is why was there not a public meeting for none of these issues? That's one of the main questions I've come to ask you, and I want to go back to Merton and insist that a public meeting takes place. We don't care where it is, that our new landlord must present himself, because there's too many things going on in the borough right now, including the wastage of money. My biggest concern is about procurement. Viola have come into our borough without a public meeting taking place. It's gone on behind our backs as residents, and now we've got able-bodied people arguing about bins, the size of bins, where the bins go and stuff like that, and no one on the council is disabled. So therefore, when all of this was being discussed, I was the last person that any of you thought about. Now going down any road where these wheelie bins have been introduced means that me, able-bodied people, prams, just across the road here is last night's Kentucky. There doesn't seem to be a public waste bin anywhere on this road that person might have been tempted to use. Merton's become a cesspit for rubbish. We've got people dumping stuff in Merton because they know that if you dump it here, the local authority basically don't do nothing. it's strange, but I think if you were to demand a public meeting, then at least the landlord would know in no uncertain terms how everyone feels.
Yeah. So
because this is appropriate for you to have coffee in the morning, but there's angry people right across this estate, and none of us are being heard.
Well, two or three things. Yeah, first of all, there were public meetings at the time the contract was let, and in fact I actually spoke at the council committee that was going to award the contract to complain about it.
Where was that meeting held?
That was held at the Civic Centre.
There you go.
And it was held. I mean, this is the problem. Something that was put in place either November 2014 or November 2015. Now, I think where you're absolutely right is that there's been not enough awareness of what was going to happen, when it was going to happen, and what you're supposed to do. And yeah, we are now all getting information, as the lady here said, but the reality is that a lot of people didn't realise it was going to happen, when it was going to happen. I think the other point that you're raising, which is the point that many of you will have seen if you've read any of the literature that I sometimes put out in my community email.
Sorry.
It's okay. Is that you're having running a campaign called Mucky Merton now for a couple of years, trying to persuade the council to do more and more about street cleaning.
Every single week, you put stuff up on Twitter, and it's been totally. Another question that I would ask: Merton claims to have a website, but yet when you respond to it, what they basically do is come back to you with your personal emails, so that no one in the public sees the conversation that's taking place.
No transparency.
And for me, it's the most basic thing that my landlord should be providing. He should be able to say to me in the public arena, I'm sorry that this has happened, and then all of you can say, oh yeah, and maybe we'll all accept that apology because it's been made. But there's no apologies, and all we seem to get is rhetoric and pamphlets. Stuff through the door.
Well, pretty much every day of the week, or certainly every week, I take up a case somewhere around Wimbledon about the failure to collect rubbish, the failure to clean the streets properly. So, I absolutely am on top of that, and I know that a number of the councillors are as well. What we need to do is to get the council to actually accept that there's a problem and do something about it. Well, there's evidence.
You're the man in place.
Honour that promise. You come to the next. I will set up a meeting with the council's head of rubbish collection for a few local residents, and you can come and make the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I've no problem with doing that. I mean, because actually, I think sometimes they think it's just me complaining, and I'm
exactly.
It's on the front page of the Guardian this week. How Viola missed over 1,000 collections per week. I mean, it's in the public domain.
Yeah, it is in the public domain. But what are the? So the gentleman's right about procurement. Normally with procurement, you procure something, and then you have people who are called contract managers who actually make sure the contract is fulfilled. And I think the real issue at the moment is Merton have given this contract with no contract for being procured. I have no problem with private companies running things, but it's a question of whether or not they're being properly monitored. It's not being managed, and that is undoubtedly the failure of the local council. Dare I say, if you go next door to Wandsworth, you have a very similar contractor running a very similar project, and they don't have these sorts of problems.
For half the price.
For half the price.
And the reason why is they have people that manage the contract. But we'll set that up.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to the lady over there.
The contract.
I was actually quite curious about the fact that I don't normally go into what it means because I don't keep up. But my daughter goes to all the meetings and I get to, and I'm curious as to why everybody looking for answers from the council, they were asked, Mr. Alan Brattis had to step in because somebody couldn't answer the questions. They're quite happy to tell us that they're going to save £1.6 million with the wheelie bins. But he would not say how much they'd spend on them, how much money had been spent on these wheelie bins initially. So, in actual fact, they're not going to save £1.6 million until he turns around and says, this is our outlay, £1.6 million is obviously going to come over years, if you like.
Yeah. I think it's over a 4-year contract. And my understanding is, and I don't know whether either of you two know better, my understanding is the contract is worth something in the order of 20 million. Is that right?
It's 35 million between the 4 boroughs, I think, yeah,
Right.
per year. Yeah, I think that's it. So the council spends about £8 million. So it pays the money, but it's not actually, we're not getting the service.
And the issue that...
It pays it up front.
It pays it up front, yeah.
Well, the issue also I've raised a moment ago, and I think is that I think we are going to hear this contract is going to cost us more than we thought it was going to. And my understanding is they have already applied to the council for a re-examination of the contract, and yet, as yet, that's not become public.
So they paid £8 million up front,
Well,
and they've missed 1,000 pickups already, and it's only how long in?
And they are in breach of contract. Yeah.
So they've
been running the street contract.
Sorry. If they're in breach of contract,
Yeah.
doesn't it come back to that simple word of the procurement? Why don't you revisit it?
Yeah.
Look at the clauses that give them responsibility for their part of the contract
Couldn't agree
and
more.
pull it.
The problem
There is no will within our current administration to do this. They are.
How many of you want to come with me? As Mr. Hammond has just offered, why don't we all go as a conglomerate and just go in there and say that contract is now null and void. Put it out to tender and select someone from the estates and the individual roads. And then when we go back to them, we say to them, look, this is a representative of every road and every estate in South Wimbledon, and we say we want that person to do it or that person to do it. But where the present ones are concerned, they failed in their responsibility to the contract.
I think that what we can do, and I promise to do, is we'll set up a meeting and we'll go and tell them frustration. I think you should ask those questions about why it's failed, why they're in breach of contract. I suspect that they have done the procurement so badly that actually there isn't a way of getting out of this contract. And that's also what really worries me.
So we signed a death sentence.
I don't know. I'm not privy to what the council signed.
Yeah.
All I can do is raise on your behalf all these issues, and I continually raise them. And what I'm saying is, why don't you come with you? Yeah, you can. I'm going to set up another meeting. We'll exchange email addresses, and we'll do that.
Yeah. And the contract is very, very clear. We're all paying our council tax, and we're buying a grade A debt for a street cleanliness standard. We're also paying Veolia to make sure that no bin is ever full for overflowing. The council really, unfortunately, hasn't even read the contract properly. Doesn't actually know. It doesn't enforce it. It pays your money over every month, roughly about £700,000.
Is there someone driving around? Does someone drive around?
Yeah.
And someone who works for the council.
They're supposed to, but again, this is the point we're saying about
which department?
It's Chris Lee's department. It's the environmental department, which covers a number of issues, including building checks and other issues.
So they're supposed to, at least once a week, just drive across the borough randomly.
Yeah, they are supposed to, and that's why, as I said, I continue to...
That can be audited, can't it?
Yeah, it should be.
It comes down to political will.
They don't want to, they're not interested in reading it.
Okay, hold on. 1 second. Yeah.
The council says it's doing contractual deductions from the contract. What does that mean exactly? Because we've been telling them, are you fining Veolia? And they say, oh, we're doing contractual deductions. What does that mean in actual terms?
Well, one would assume it's withholding some element of the payment, but I don't know if anyone's...
So is that subject to a better performance, or will they just hold on to it and then give it back?
But they've paid it up front.
How does it work? I'm not sure.
Well, I think there are staggered payments. Some of it's up front, some are staggered payments. Some of it will be money that they are withholding because they haven't paid for. There'll be no onus on them to give that money back. But what I am saying to you is be careful. I expect we're going to hear an announcement of a renegotiation of this contract.
Renegotiated between who?
Well, between the council and Veolia, or the 4 boroughs that form South London Waste Partnership. It hasn't worked out.
Who's the people that run the Wandsworth one? That seems to be so good, you were saying. Can't we use that?
The contractual Wandsworth is at, I think they use Veolia as well, and they do something in-house as well.
So they just have a better set of managers.
They have a better set of managers. That's been a
they manage the contract there.
Yeah. Sorry, did you want to raise a question?
Yes. Oh, the sunlight doesn't see. I want the loveliest that somebody else always.
Monitors, whether SO petrol station are sort of surveying the area around to make sure there aren't any leakages, because they do that in Richmond, but I've never had anyone come into my garden to check whether there are any leakages from the petrol station, and I would like that to be put in place.
If you see me afterwards, I'll take a date and I'll write. I don't know the answer to that.
Is it possible to talk a bit about parking? Does anyone
Yeah.
carry on with wheelie bins? I know we've only got another half an hour.
Well, we can go on that. But I mean, I think the bin situation, I've made a clear commitment, and I will take some email addresses afterwards, and we'll organise a meeting again to the council. So we can talk about anything you like. That's the whole point of this meeting. So if you want to talk about parking.
Well, just that I've heard that in Russell Road, up by the Wimbledon Theatre, it's going to become a one-way. Is that true for lorries?
The answer to that question is, I'm not sure. The council are due to put out a new town centre master plan. There was some consideration of turning the space outside the theatre into a bigger area, so that there wouldn't necessarily be all of that road. So I wasn't aware it's going to be one way, but I was aware that they were going to try and, at the moment, as you know, there's a triangle in the middle and land, and you can go up and down that. I have heard that they're intending to look at making that an open space in between, and therefore have less traffic. The council were due to have produced their town centre master plan beginning of September. Then I was told it was definitively coming up on the 24th, and so I'm holding a meeting with some local residents associations about the town centre plan in about 3 hours' time, and we haven't had it yet. And so I haven't cancelled the meeting once, I'm not going to cancel it again. But I understand that is one of the proposals that may or may not be in the town centre plan.
It's coming out Monday. You see it on the website on Monday.
Yeah, but I was told that last Monday, so I mean I wouldn't be clear it's coming out Monday. But
they did reveal it at the art space.
Well, what they've done so far is to do some headlines of it, but we haven't seen the full plan. The trouble was it has been continually delayed, and there are various excuses being offered for that. You wanted to talk about parking?
I understand that there's businesses are being given permit to park down. Well, I live in Hamilton Road, but probably Hardy Road and everything. So we've already got constraints on parking. There's no turning circle at the end of our road. We have 4 disabled bays, and you can go there at 11 o'clock at night. They're not used. And I know some disabled people. We used to be 2 disabled bays. We just got nowhere to park. Yeah. And if you allow commercial people from Merton High Street onto our roads, we've got even less. I know you no longer allow new flats to be built out of the houses, but obviously that adds more cars, which is probably a good thing. But I'm just wondering, I'm parking further and further away from I've got a boy, he's got school kit and things, we've got shopping, like everyone else, all in the same boat. I understand that. And I don't expect to park outside my house. But what with the building works at the old Hamilton base,
Lady
Hamilton, plus however many flats are going to be put into that, and it probably won't have enough parking. I believe it's 9 flats and 3 car bay parking. Where's those other 7 cars going to go, or whatever it's going to be? Where are we going to park? What are you going to do with... sorry, Quicks Road, disaster, by the way, you can't park on the curb on one side now. You've got some sort of storage facility that used to be a bathroom thing, which has been demolished by some accident, I believe, the police were involved. But now it's been moved out the street by 2 feet. You can't look. You cannot look to see a car come by. It's dangerous.
Driving down the Merton Road, because this wooden building been covered up where the kitchen of the used for building leaf be.
But it's going to be there forever now. No one's ever going to go in and change that. That's 2 feet out. Because you
And you
turn left,
can't
you're
see.
like this, and you're edging out, and you can't see cars. And the other thing is, when you turn right, because of the narrow width of it, you've got vans parked there for unloading whatever whatever they're doing, they're unloading. So you've got back up in Merton Road, you can't get onto quick, you can't get down quick because it's so narrow if there's a van coming.
People just driving with they took the 120 and then they reverse back onto Council Road. I've seen that so many times, and I am trying to ask the council find a way to stop people reversing that because they used to be an accident,
So look, I mean, Nigel's raised the issue about social and the issues there. I will ask the local council about the arrangements on Picks Road and actually walk the road with the officer. The clear point also, I think, is that we need to find out how many business permits they've given. Technically, a business can apply. I think when the CPZ is put in place and they are there, they can apply for 2 business permits per operation. So the question the question I will ask directly is who has a business permit and how many they've issued. When you find that sort of information, have a look at whether or not that's the appropriate number, how residents are supposed to park. So let me go and have a look at that.
I know I've raised several points, so I'm sorry if I...
Can I just add, I had a meeting with Martin Wilson on Thursday, and what it might be worth doing is actually getting him to come down and review. He's the council cabinet member for parking.
He's taken Andrew Judge's old job, so he looks after parking and traffic.
Yeah. I'm quite happy to meet this guy and walk him around our area and talk it all out, if you will.
I mean, we've also had a number of issues that, well, you and I have walked the estate with Clarion about parking on this estate several times just recently.
But what I discovered on Thursday, which is why I say get Martin Wilson down to actually view where you're talking about, because when I brought him down to High Pass to go over some issues, he was totally unaware of just how much council land was on the estate, and I could genuinely see he was embarrassed. So I kind of take a positive out of it that now he's seen it, we might get something done to get some parking control zones in and some other stuff done for residents. Get him down.
Well, I said, I will obviously raise that point, and maybe he's appropriate or the officer is appropriate to do that. Right, sir. Let me just, I'll leave that. Maybe I'll come back to you in just a second. No, the gentleman there, then I'll come back to you, don't worry.
I wanted to ask where we are with Crossrail because they keep talking about revising plans and but we've not actually.
So, in front of this meeting, my assistant spoke to them again this week to get an update, and the answer is it's broadly the same as it's been for the last 2 years. However, the affordability review that they started this time last year was completed at the end of July. It has gone to the Secretary of State and the Mayor of London. I don't know what the outcome of that is. They haven't made it public yet. They're still deciding what to do. I have asked for a meeting with the Chief Executive of Crossrail 2 because we were supposed to have seen both that review and updated funding plans. I will be having a discussion with her on Monday. We're at a similar meeting, so I've asked for a meeting with her at that to ask. So the embarrassment is that here we are 2 years later after being promised the next set of the finalised route option. And we still have no clarity.
I mean, is the plan for demolishing the centre of Wimbledon actually dead, or is it still?
I think it's highly unlikely that will be the plan because there's so much local opposition to that. I suspect there will still be a plan to introduce a service.
Yes. There was a talk of a tunnel.
One of the options really was more tunnelling. The problem with that option, of course, is that it is considerably more expensive. But again, if that piece of infrastructure is going to be there for 100, 150 years. And it's a bit more expensive now. It needs to be right, and two, it needs to be it needs to be looked at over cost over a proper period. There was another option being considered, which was to bring it to the north of the station, sort of the district line end, and because they say that with modern signalling, the district line doesn't need 4 platforms, it only needs 3, and then again, I don't know whether that has been pursued, but I think it is highly unlikely, given the amount of criticism last time round, that you broadly shut down the town centre for 7 years.
There are a lot of empty shops in the town centre.
There are a few more. So one of the reasons that the master plan, which I spoke about a few minutes ago, is so important, is that that is the council's opening consultation, if you like, with local residents about how the town centre should look and what should be in it for the next 25, 30, 50 years. Wimbledon's a great place to live, but no one is saying it can't be made better. And also, there's quite a lot of demand for office space. One of the things that always surprises me is how many small firms want to come and base themselves in Wimbledon. We think about, a lot of people think about the station as in the morning as the way out up to central London, but actually increasingly, if you look at local population, if you speak to local estate agents who are trying to find office space, the office space we have isn't appropriate. We also have 2 or 3 big sites where what goes on those, if the council determines to solve, it's key that local residents have a chance to say in that. And ideally, what one would do is to link the regeneration of the town centre or any changes to the town centre. And the council are already in major discussions with a developer for the car park site about Morrison's.
Right, okay.
About putting a plan that would make a lot of sense if one actually knew what the Crossrail plan was and did it all together. So, one of the things I will clearly be saying to Michelle Dix, who runs Crossrail 2, is, we've all been very patient. We were supposed to be doing this consultation in October 2016 when you phoned me up and told me it was going to be delayed. Here we are 2 years later, why haven't we heard more? And so embarrassingly, the answer to your question is I can't give you any more detail because there is no more detail at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. In addition to Crossrail 2, could you please also update us on the tram link extension coming to South Wimbledon and the route option it will follow?
I'm expecting to see that there will be a consultation on the route options in the near future. I think that there will be ones that local residents want to look at very carefully. One of them, when they first mooted this, which is, 4 or 5 years ago now, one of them was to put the tram up the middle of Merton Road. And I think that's
Morden Road.
Yeah, we're more both. One was Morden Road, one was Merton Road, one was, as you know, through the nursery road. And so the recreation ground.
And Abbey elsewhere.
Yeah. So there have been 3 or 4 options put forward. I think that you are likely to hear that they want to proceed with the Sutton extension. I think it is what is likely to happen, but as to the route, we haven't seen the finalised. So again, it's another big issue, and a particularly big issue for this area.
Another concern which some of my local residents are expressing is that the Nursery Road playing field, which is owned by Rutledge and leased to council for another 49 years, something like that, will be used as a depot for tram Nursery Road playing field. There's an existing car park. And can you find out if Nursery Road playing field will be used as a depot?
We'll write to TFO about that. I have to say, I haven't heard that, and I'd be pretty surprised on the basis that. I have to be very surprised on the basis that it's playing fields, but we will raise that issue.
Thank you.
Sorry, there's a question coming up.
Sorry.
English. The lady here lives in Brisbane.
Yes.
It's a house was built in a couple of a couple of weeks ago.
Last week.
Last week? Yeah. And then the police came and took all the reports and everything, but they didn't pursue the matter further. It was when they advised the case was closed. She was wondering, what was they doing? Why wasn't it in this court?
Well, I will, if we take those details, we'll speak to the police for you and ask, try and find out what's happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to the last point that Abdul made about nursery openings. I'm actually a trustee of the Rutledge Foundation, and I can assure you that the Rutledge Foundation would be totally opposed to any building on their nursery road playing fields. Yeah. We want to keep them as playing fields and have them better used as playing fields by the students of Rutledge. And also the residents on the other side of the tram line there are also extremely opposed to it, and we support them in that. So just to say that.
Well, that will be helpful.
Position of the foundation.
Yes, I've heard that as well before.
Could you, or is it at all possible to have a meeting with the head of the emergency services that are local with regard to noise pollution on Merton High Road? It's going to be on the joke now, and they're actually using Merton High Road as a racetrack.
Yeah.
It's been raised more than once, and it just keeps getting.
And who have you raised it with before?
I raised it with the ambulance service on Christmas Day last year, because I'm facing the main road. And on Christmas Day, the road was totally empty, and 2 ambulances came blue lighting through here. And no apparent reason for
it. 5 o'clock in the morning, those crossroads are empty, and they go with the
still
signs.
doing it. And the only one I'm prepared to accept now is the fire brigade. If they're coming through there, I encourage people to move out of the way. But the ambulance service and the police service, they are taking the absolute Michael. Well, I've seen them come down the road, come through the light, see the traffic, blue light, for even an hour. It's diabolical what's happening out here. No one seems to want to do anything about it. So I'm asking you if we could have the noise abatement officer measure the noise pollution first and then audit the traffic that's coming through here.
Certainly talk to the local council about a noise pollution, because that's the noise pollution. I mean, I think we'll be quite careful about when and why they're using their blue lights. I mean, there is.
Well, if you sit on that traffic light opposite the bargain store, which I've done, I sat there for an hour, and I've got them coming from behind me, I've got them coming from in front of me, and if what I believe to be is an emergency, the driver wouldn't have time to be driving with one hand, looking behind him to see what's going on. And when you see emergency drivers coming through here, they're concentrated on their mission. They're not driving with one hand and hoping to avoid a queue of traffic that's going to last less than 2-3 minutes.
I'm absolutely prepared to accept that some people probably do abuse the protocol, and I will happily, let's have a chat about that in a moment, and I'm happy to try and speak to the local people. But we've got to be quite careful, because I mean most of the people have to use their blue lights. But let's have a chat about it, and I will speak to, in fact I'm meeting the police chief the week after next, the local borough commander.
They are the main culprits.
So I will raise it with the borough commander when I meet her the week after next.
Talking about police, where are we now with the police station? There was a meeting on Wednesday night that everybody, apart from our wonderful administration, leading party, decided to turn up. I was just wondering where we stand.
Well, I think that meeting, I mean, I wasn't at it. However, as you say, the meeting was called by Councillor Kohler. And I applaud the fact that he wanted to have a cross-party meeting. I think that was sensible. I applaud the fact that he's got his judicial review passed. The reality of that judicial review, unfortunately, is that all it requires the Deputy Mayor for London, not even the Mayor for London, to do is to
read the document.
Read the look. She does not have to reconsult. It does not stop. It does not stop the police station going.
It's going.
What? Pardon?
Is it? Sorry, is it going?
It's gone.
Well, it hasn't gone,
No,
not yet.
it hasn't gone.
However, the Mayor of London has proposed that Merton should only have one police station, and they want to close Wimbledon. I have made the case on numerous occasions, both to the previous borough commander, the deputy mayor. I've written to the mayor, he won't have a meeting with me, on the basis that, firstly, if you look at Wimbledon, of all the centres in Merton, Wimbledon is the one where you would have a police station.
Especially with the tennis.
Well, the tennis, but just not
terrorist attack there.
Yeah. But you just think about Wimbledon. We've got tube, tram, bus, night train coming in there. You've got it's the busiest town centre. It's within easy reach of any of the black spots for crime anywhere in the village. Anywhere in the community. So the two biggest areas are actually just over the border towards Morden and Mitcham, but actually they can be reached as quickly from Wimbledon as they can from Mitcham. Actually, it's not true. You can reach it a minute quicker from Mitcham Police Station, so according to the official announcement. Thirdly, of course, you've got areas of high fear of crime where actually some of the policing workers actually undoubtedly stopped crime. So on all, and one of the most important points is that if they close Wimbledon Police Station, they won't be able to put all the functions into Mitcham Police Station. And when I met the Deputy Mayor to point this out about emergency response vehicles and the number of vehicles, I was told that by her that all the vehicles could go into the Mitcham Police Station. When I told that to the Borough Commander, he put his head in his hands because it's simply not true. And I told her it's not true, and she kept on telling me it was. So they have a major flaw in terms of why they forget any cost-saving arguments or anything else. There's an operational argument. If you're going to have one police station,
is she not talking to the operational officers? That saying it can't be done.
They are saying they're going to need another base as well as the Mitcham Police Station in a second. Yeah. So that's key. They have also, they're making a claim about saving, and I understand that their claims to me about saving. But one of the two big points I will make, one was they didn't wait until the new police funding formula came out. They just made the decision. Actually, London is getting disproportionately more money out of that. Now, people may say it's more and more not, but Christian. The other point, and this is the key point, is the Mayor is sitting on 240 million of reserves, which are allocated for policing and law functions.
Yeah, he's sitting on it for political reasons.
Well, you and I might think that, but what I am concentrating on is the fact that let's take it out of the political. Let's just argue non-politically why it should stay there. So there's also, and then there is the other point, and this is coming to John Chambers' point, which is what could be done. So Hillingdon, Havering, and I think is it K&C? Remember? I think one of the central London boroughs have all applied to buy their police station out of Mopac, lease it back at a preferential rate. Keep a policing function there because of the ongoing, and then use some of the rest of the site for other purposes. There is a plan, which was, I accept was only at stage one workout, but I was there. We had discussions with Mopac. I wasn't at that meeting. I was at a meeting with the developer about how you can keep a police station there, build some flats for affordable housing or key worker. You can keep the police station open. And if you want the evidence of that, when people say that's not funded and it's not possible, Havering have just bought the police station over Mopac, and Mopac are leasing it back at a preferential rate to keep some funding for policing in there. So the only scheme that can work at the moment now is that, and we have to persuade the Mayor that that's the right thing to do for this.
How do we get that to happen, though, Stephen? If the Labour administration will not even turn up to a public meeting to discuss this, how do we make things happen?
Yes, very important.
We've got another 4 years of this.
Yeah.
Take politics out of it. We've got another 4 years of this administration who, whether you're talking about schools, rubbish, planning, do not give a shit about what's going on in this borough. And they continue to do whatever they want to do because they have a majority.
Yeah.
The only way that I can see we can control what's going on in this borough is for government to try, and I don't know what it can and can't do, but a light needs to be shone on what is happening to the people in this borough who do not want what is happening to them. And we need some help from above. It's not going to happen from Sadiq Khan because he's too busy having fish and chips with Alan British around the corner talking about how much money they're going to make out of the properties they have bought. So that's not going to happen. We need some help from above. Our glorious leader stood up in a meeting in Merton Arts Centre on Thursday evening and said, if you don't like what's going on here, you can go to the local government ombudsman, which we are doing. You can take out judicial reviews, which we have done. And he basically said, bring it on, because we are going to win hands down every time. That is his mentality, that he is at war with the residents, and he is going to win hands down every time. We need to stop him. He needs to be put under some kind of spotlight and control.
Can't we ask Her Majesty's government to send it? Why are you laughing? We want. Can we?
Well, this is my point to see. Can we get the local government communities to?
Can we ask Her Majesty's government? Is there a formula that we can ask Her Majesty's government to send an auditor in here to overlook everything, not just specific little things? This borough, the local authority doesn't work anymore, and everybody that lives in it is disgruntled with them, and we're not being heard. And it doesn't matter what avenue we go through. You were at a meeting on Thursday watching Ambullitis perform. We see in little snippets in local newspapers and stuff like that, and it all seems like...
What's your answer?
The answer is, can we get someone really big, someone awful, terrible, who will come in here and say,
He's here.
We're going to have a look at what you're doing.
They did it with you and council, didn't they? They
right,
took you
and whatever
council
we
back.
find going wrong, we, maybe independently or outside, will make a decision, and then we'll ask the local residents what they think. Do you know what makes us all frustrating? The simplicity of resolving it.
To be perfectly fair, we had a chance in May, and that's the answer. We could have kicked them out in May, we didn't. So there we are, they're democratically elected.
I had Stephen Hammond on the day of voting, knocking on my door, making all kind of promises, and I haven't seen him since.
So he went. For another 4 years.
Exactly.
But that's politics.
Yeah.
Well, I'm clearly a politician, and I try and represent you. You will have your views on whether I do it well or badly. I mean, the point I think that you and the gentleman here are raising, first of all, there are avenues, but there are clear reasons why you can go down particular avenues. Now, Newham and also Tower Hamlets as well, there were some pretty clear corrupt practices going on. The issue here is the district auditor has looked at a practice that this council was undertaking, that a number of us, including myself, who wrote to the district auditor and thought that the practice was extraordinarily questionable, and the district auditor has, at the moment, not followed it through in a way that one would have expected. There is the local government ombudsman. I mean, I think that the issue would be, and we are getting close to it, is that how many different issues is one referring to the local government ombudsman, where one says this now needs to be looked at on a more comprehensive basis. But the reality is, the gentleman says here, at one level is a political level, and Chris is right, there was an opportunity, wasn't taken, a lot of people are very frustrated, and I think there are a lot of people genuinely still frustrated, even if they supported them. The other issue, I think, is that there are clear ways one can follow other administrative review practices, but we've got to be pretty clear that much as you may want someone being awful and terrible to come in, there have to be clear reasons to do so, and it's not.
I would have thought there are clear.
Well, you say that. I would have thought so as well. But the district auditor.
Yes, but you said he hasn't followed through, so we don't have a conclusive.
Well, he decided that the practices that they were doing were
within his remit.
Yeah,
and
within
he
his remit.
did
So what is his remit
several
then?
times that within his narrow remit, this is what he could do. So I don't know.
Did you get away with that?
Can we bring up the?
Maybe it's with your remit.
No.
Yes,
Okay, hold
on. Issue I would like to flag up because I feel in portion in this ward is about the Harris school. The Harris school is being proposed to be built on High Court, and I'm sure many of you are aware of it. And most of us are putting against it for a number of reasons. I am running a campaign to try and stop the plan. And the park meeting, which is the planning of the vacation meeting, it has been delayed because the council they probably have made a mistake in the chance of the quality in this area, and the recent London Mayor report on the existing primary school is in the most dangerous area in Merton. In other words, within quality in terms of the traffic, tall building, the spur building, and also the other hideous building, which is known as a main core building on a modern way. Anyway, but meanwhile, there'll be new buildings being built on the other side, which is the High Court. Generation level, there'll be also 2 blocks there. Therefore, just imagine building a new school on a tiny plot of land with 1,100 children. Therefore, the existing primary school don't lose their fields, and also at the recent meeting I attended last month, which was the design review meeting. They did not like the school plan. They thought it looked like a warehouse on a busy road with no school vision whatsoever. And they were asking what about the playing field. The issue is playing fields are going to be in nursery words. If it's going to happen, this applies for both schools. They will don't get more about their safety walking across modern road, and don't get that there might be a tram line there. I don't know about that, but and then they will have to walk. There were a trip done to across Abbey work, and then in the field. And anyway, going back to primary school, and the young students, there'll be about 450 students there, and they are to be DNA assessed to their playing ground. They are restricted to 3 hours per week. This is outrageous. Anyway, okay, thinking about that school, now think about the new High Forest area. This is to be revamped. There were another 1,100 people are doing this on High Forest. Therefore, it means more traffic. But either way, if it goes again, there will, why was Merton Hall touched in the first place? But if it goes forward, you're risking students' young health, their futures, and even mothers with unborn babies. They can eventually, because they be breathing in the traffic.
So do you want make sure everybody understands the air pollution issue and write in?
Yeah, right in.
Plus what he's trying to say as well is that Carillion or Clarion have come in here and take the Michael. They will not talk to us. They only communicate with us through these stupid letters they keep sending out every 5 minutes, telling you, not asking you. They've taken the water away from the rents. You know, they're trying to put people on this estate, Hyde Park, where I live here now. They're trying to put people into fuel poverty. They're trying to cause you problems with your finances. Because where are you supposed to find £500 a year from a fixed income? It's been raised time and time again, and Clarion will not come to the table and discuss it with us. We did not give them permission. Right now, if you don't pay your water bill, it will affect your credit reference. That's how bad it's got, because Clarion gave us new contracts, which half of us didn't read. And in the new tenancy agreement, they told us that they are prepared to give our information to anybody who wants it.
Okay,
and if you didn't sign that new tenancy
let's keep the issue on the school for a moment. Yeah, keep the issue on the school for a moment and then come back to the resolution about
the school. There are pollution issues. The planning application as it stands does not actually put readings on the actual site or around the site. The council leader is saying that everything is going to be decided by the planning meeting, which is a little bit disturbing because the documents that actually show the real case are not on the planning portal. There was a report by Merton Council on the state of pollution in Merton for 2017-2018. It's not even on the council website. You cannot find it on the council website. So well, I have a copy from the actual, environmentalist who actually is happy to share it, but it's not available for the public. It's not available for councillors. It is a big concern because you are putting 1,150 students on a very small site. There are different figures about the size of it. It's 6,700 and something in one report. It's under 8,000 square metres, which is the approved government size for an academy of that nature. Where do we go with it? Where do we go?
Yes, it's the same pattern. It's the lack of transparency, it's the lies.
It's completely wrong. There are a lot of health research. Every single day there's something that tells you that lung development, heart disease, stroke. There's a mother who's lost her daughter, and it has been linked to pollution. She's now taking it to court. Eventually, hopefully, the Attorney General will accept it. But Sadiq Khan himself has agreed for her to have a second inquest. He has written a report on Merton Abbey School right next door to it. Where are these figures? They're not even in the planning application. Now, looking at the planning application again, they've been adding more documents, and the last one I saw was projecting no air quality issues till 2020. Based on what? I'm not really sure. They're saying that the actual report that they put in on air quality deems it acceptable. It's done by the same company that did the air quality report for the cement batching that had to be withdrawn because the figures weren't correct. They're not basing the figures on the actual site. They're doing it on streets away, hundreds of meters away from the school, so of course it's going to be acceptable. They're looking at the air quality from the basis of their energy plant, about the plant, the electricity plant they're going to put there. They're not thinking about the regen. They haven't included the regen in there. They haven't included the traffic, and it's just, you know, where do we go from there?
And much one thing as well, because what amazed me, the high path, they have not even considered about the one on Abbey Road. They could have found a way to serve this.
And also, there's very little concern for Merton Abbey Primary. They're putting their construction site, the vehicle entrance, right on the edge of, you know, right on the, just adjoining the green, the remaining green of the school.
So I've taken various points up on a number of occasions on this application, along with Nigel. I think what the report you referred to by the environmentalist that isn't there, the council and the council, you know that he submitted that to the council.
Well, it's a council report, but it's
No,
not. It's not on the website. If you do a search for it,
But,
you
so
get
there are two
2016,
councils.
2017. You don't get the most recent one, which has those air quality
I will.
figures.
You and I speak quite a lot, so I will
Yeah.
make sure we take that up and ask them to put that up there.
Okay.
Because I think that's a key point.
Can I make, sorry, can I make
Yeah.
a point? I think also, even if the new school wasn't being built there, there's already a massive health issue for the children of Merton Abbey Primary School.
Yeah.
Why is not the council
Proper action plan, needs proper action plan, without doubt, yeah.
let alone trying to put more children there? That's what I don't understand. Why they have to look at that and thought, oh my God, this is a serious situation. Let's mitigate. Let's take immediate action to protect the existing primary school children, little ones from the age of 3 upwards. Let alone trying to put more there. So even if they weren't putting in a school, they should already be doing action to help the children who
So
are
not putting their construction sites right on the edge of
it's on top of the agenda.
Absolutely should be, right, yeah.
Okay, I have a couple other points. Is there anyone who wants to raise something with who hasn't had a chance to speak? Yeah. Yeah? No? That's fine. No, we'll sort that out. I hear the point about Clarion, and I will have a word with them about coming down and doing one of these sessions with local residents. I think I have your email address anyway, but I will, as I had promised to do, I will either bring the local council here, or we will go and have a conversation about the question.
I want to agree because Klein is not easy to work with, but we will keep fighting because I want to have all your voices here. You know what's going on. And there is one other quick issue which I will mention very briefly, and it has ignored me for years, because it is about the empty shop next to the tube station. I am baffled why in the center of our wall is allowed beer left empty. I'm now trying to find ways can be forcing and do something about it. It's a real embarrassment for our wards. And the council is priority. Therefore, I am trying in our church with the owners again and again, but
Well, look, I think you and I should work on speaking to the owners about seeing what they intend to do with that, because it is it's a disgrace. It can be done.
Turn it into a sub-police office.
Well, no, I am not disagreeing. I think there's a sort of extreme argument. Is there anything else anyone wants to raise?
One other question, George, you mentioned briefly about the extension of the boundary.
Oh yeah, yes.
Just a quick one. Everybody's concerned about the air pollution. Do you know, when they're building that school, they're pulling down High Path, and it'll be a building site for nearly 12 years. What kind of air pollution is that going to create?
Yeah, well, I think they have to put some screening up, and they're really
what they have to
seriously
do,
got to do
what they do
something.
is some.
Yeah, different. But I think we ought to sign something before these
I live on the
things
estate,
happen, so that we have got legal standing there.
All complaints, whatever they ignore complaints.
Yeah.
They come in election time, they come and knock at the door. And unfortunately, Nigel was knocking my door, the Labour councillor, and I've just shut the door on them. End story. Because by the time they've been here, they've done nothing for the estate. I don't expect them to do anything for me. I've worked forever and I've grown. But I expect them to be people who voted for them. I should expect them to be looking after them, not lining around back to pocket.
I understand is to me a favour in 7 stages. That's all.
But, yeah, it is in stages, but the lady's right, they will be building on this area for somewhere between 10 and 12 years. It's not so good. I mean, I think there are two issues. One is I do have meetings with them. I haven't had one for about 6 months about their latest plans. But I do write to Clarion pretty much every day, certainly 3 times a week, on their inability to produce, turn up to appointments, keep them on time, do what they promise with repairs. They have a really bad. I'm afraid they have a very bad.
Is that what they're doing to you?
No. Well, there's another.
No.
There's another.
Because if they're doing that to you, can you imagine what they think of us?
Well, I'm taking this up. I'm taking this up on people's behalf. But there is a funny story. Actually, they do own the property next door to where I live. And it took me 3 years to get them to come and do that. But that's another story altogether. But what I'm saying is that in terms of people, notwithstanding the point about regeneration, it's the what I would call the bread and butter of their business. They're there to provide high quality and good standard property for people to live in, and they still have a major problem with repairs. As I say, I keep writing on that. I want to thank everybody for coming this morning, because I know on Saturday morning you're
we want to thank you for giving us an opportunity to give it some.
Yeah, thank you.
No one's come on the estate since the new landlord has taken over and given us an opportunity.
Okay.
It's the first
well, I think it's very interesting, because a lot of people said to me about 2 years ago, public meeting, because I did do some, because I don't do this anymore. But actually what I've found in the last 2 years, I've held a number around the whole of Wimbledon, and more people want to come along and have a face-to-face conversation. It's all very well everybody saying you do things by email and social media these days, but I think these are good things. I mean, I'm very happy to do these 2 or 3 times a year here on a Saturday morning with Nigel, your local councillor. So I suggest we do that on a regular basis, because gives people a chance, and also it gives me a chance to take up issues that people want to take up. So thank you for spending a bit longer than we promised this morning. There are some people who there are some people I promised to do things for. If you make sure that Jerry here has your email or your address, then I'll make sure it's done. Nigel?
Yeah, and there is to be a public meeting next month. It'll be on the 7th of October, I think.
For what?
The public meeting in Dundonald Ward.
Oh yes, there is. I'm holding one in Dundonald Ward on the 11th of October. It's a Thursday evening. I mean, if you know anyone in that area who wants to come,
Yes, where is it?
it's being held at the St Andrews.
It's Andrew Church.
I'm not sure.
Just check what the hell is the municipalities being as well. They're not really good. included. The council say it's £7 a year. They haven't included all managers. And they're going to make sure it's later, so they're going to get that hasn't
Yeah, it's very good. It is Sudan. If there's anyone in Dundonald Ward or Dundon area, it's Sudan's Church, 2017.